As kids, it was a source of great entertainment to look at Mom and Dad's wedding album. She was pretty. He was handsome. They were both thin. It was an endless source of hilarity to see Dad in a top hat and tuxedo. Mom told us only nice stories about our relatives. It's a whole nother experience looking at the wedding album with Mom today, 72 years after she got married. She now tells juicy, unfiltered stories. She told me that the Machatunim opposed her wedding. They didn't want Obby to marry her because it meant that they would lose his paycheck. They were very poor. They lived in a cold water apartment above his tailor shop in North Philadelphia. They had an outhouse in the backyard. Zadie Moshe had been injured by shrapnel in the First World War. He spent much of his life at the Navy Hospital with osteomyelitis complications. The four parents had an uneasy truce over the decades. The Gussmans called Mom's parents the Korostoffs. They mispronounced their Machatunim's name for 30 years. The stories she tells now are sad and dark. She told me about her aunt who suffered from mania. When she got sick, she started to bake and bake and bake until the house was filled with cookies and there was no money left for rent or bills. Another aunt had to get married because she had premarital sex back in the shtetl. The couple hated each other and had a bitter marriage. Their children ran away at the first opportunity. There was a handsy uncle that all of the girls were warned to stay out of his reach. A cousin had to be rescued from the clutches of a predatory shiksa when he was in the army. Another cousin was so despondent after a failed love affair, she had to be rescued off the Ben Franklin Bridge by the police before she could jump. An uncle sold shares in an imaginary gold mine. He wound up going to jail. There were momsers, fake rabbis, horse thieves, liars, bad marriages, philanderers, ungrateful children, and worst of all, scabs who crossed the picket line. It is surprising what Mom doesn't know about her wedding. She was 20. She wasn't involved in the planning of it. She provided a list of her friends, and that was about it. Bubby and her best friend Dora planned the wedding. Mom remembers looking for a dress at Wanamaker's downtown store, but they were too goisha. She got her dress from a bridal shop on Castor Avenue. The sales ladies were very annoyed with her because she tried on dresses with bobby socks and saddle shoes, which were her usual and customary footwear. The bra and girdle came from a corset shop. Bubby and Dora knew from the movies that an American bride needs a negligee. The two of them thought a negligee was the same thing as a nightgown, so that's what they bought Mom for the wedding night. Flannel in June. Neither of them explained sex to her. That was left to Aunt Mat, her married older sister. Mom was married by the rabbi from Temple Emmanuel. Bubby didn't like him. She was always mad at the synagogue about the second-class status of women hidden behind the mechitza. Some Jewish rituals were carried out. Mom signed a ketubah, but it was an ordinary piece of paper. The rabbi kept it. There was no bedekin, no veiling of the bride, and no circling of the groom. There was a chuppah. They exchanged rings and broke the glass. In 1950, it was traditional for a bride to carry a Bible, not a bouquet of flowers. Telegrams in Yiddish were read aloud, wishing the couple mazel tov. Bubby Yetta was crowned in a krenzel ceremony because she married off her last child. There was no lifting people in chairs. The men all wore hats. Yarmulkes were not in fashion yet. Mom doesn't remember the food. She thinks it was probably chicken. Of course it was kosher, or the aunts would not have attended. She has no memory of the wedding cake, what flavor it was, or who baked it. Mom didn't know many of the people who came to her wedding. Of course she knew the cousins, aunts, and uncles. She doesn't know Sonia's Chaverim from Pioneer Women or friends of Menashe from the shul. Weddings were not for the bride, they were for the community. The Dave Cantor Orchestra provided the music. They were a big deal klezmer band in 1950. Mom lights up as she remembers the hora and the dancing. I have some questions for which there are no answers. Why is there a picture of the groomsmen but no picture of the bridesmaids? Were young women so unimportant? Why do Bubby and Zadie, two immigrants from the shtetl who live above their Unity Frankfurt corner grocery store, make a storybook princess wedding? I wonder if this over-the-top wedding was a reaction to the fact that Bubby and Zadie were married in a rabbi's study, with no fanfare and no freilach. The official story is the family was too poor to make a simcha for the young immigrants in 1925. Zadie was insulted that they thought so little of him and their youngest sister that he never really forgave her family for not making a wedding. Flo and Obby were married for 57 years when Dad died in 2008.
Oh my God, it's my old wedding dress.
Yep.